So first of all, let me just say, I know some of you may have heard a Tammy bow. I certainly did not invent bow making, nor did I actually invent the name Tammy bow. Excuse me. When I was on the artisan team last year, 2021, several of my friends on there saw that I was doing bows on a lot of my cards and projects, and so they said, oh, you should do a hashtag Tammy bow. And so everything I did, they were calling it Tammy bows. So that was their idea. So I'm going to blame that on my artisan friends. So let's go ahead and get started. Excuse me. I've been doing a lot of practicing today, so my voice is kind of hoarse. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start on the first bow. I'm just going to start out with a simple one. Usually, let me see what I did here, because usually I measure at least 24 inches, so I'm going to go ahead and measure. I probably did more than that. Okay, this one I did about 32 inches, and I just kind of guessed I didn't want to run out of ribbon while I'm filming here. So most of the time when I do a bow, I'd say 24 inches to about 30 inches is about average. So let me go ahead and get started. So the first bow I'm going to do is just a single bow, single ribbon. I'm going to get into the multiple ribbons in just a minute. So what you want to do is take your ribbon, leave a little tail, of course, depending on how much you want at the end. And you're going to make one loop. I'm going to get up a little closer here. There we go. 2 loops. And you can see I'm pinching it in between my fingers. 3 loops. And 4 loops. You could go crazy. In fact, I think I have enough. I might be able to do 2 more loops on, or a loop on each side. There's 1 more loop there. And 1 more loop on this side. So I've got 3 loops on each side. Now, here's where you're going to hold your bow together and keep it together. You've got it pinched in between your fingers. You're going to make a loop, and I'm really over exaggerating this so you can kind of see that big loop. Let me turn it that way. You can see that big loop there. I'm going to go ahead and take this end that's left, pop it through that loop, and I'm going to kind of move my fingers away from the middle here. So I'm kind of pinching the loops at both ends. I'm going to pull, 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 pull. And I can keep pulling to tighten it up. And I'm not going to fully pull it tight yet because I want you to see something. If once you have this knotted, once you fully pull it tight, if you go and try and take this loop, this bow apart, you can pull it, but you're going to wind up with a knot in your ribbon. So let me go ahead and do that one more time. And I didn't pull it super tight, so my knot isn't too bad here. Oh my gosh, now I can't see it. You know what? Let me just go ahead and start with another one. We will cut another piece of ribbon. Okay. There we go. I've got lots of ribbon on hand, way too much ribbon than any human should have, but okay. So we're going to start again. 1 loop, 2 loops, 3 loops, 4 loops, and you can see I'm just pinching it in the middle, 5 and 6 loops. Then we're going to make that big circle in the middle. And again, I'm really over exaggerating it so you can see it. I normally don't make it that big. And then I'm going to pop this end right through. And this time I'm really going to tighten the bow as much as I can. So let me really tug on it there. Okay. And then there you've got your bow. And, you know, whether you're going to put it on a card or a little gift bag or gift box. And you can trim off the ends. A lot of people have asked me how I decide how big I'm going to make the bows. So I will show you that in just a minute, okay? But I'm going to move on to another ribbon, okay? Actually 2 ribbons here. So I used, for this one, and you can use all kinds of ribbons, but for this one I used the 2 new in colors, Polished Pink and Fresh Freesia, the open weave ribbon, and it cuts apart real easily. You can see I started cutting this apart already. I love this ribbon for making multicolor bows. So that's what I used for this bow that's coming up. All right, so I've got my Fresh Freesia and Polished Pink. And when you're using 2 ribbons, whatever length you cut the ribbons, try and start with the ends even and cut both ribbons the same length. I've just made the mistake because I just start cutting ribbon. I normally don't ever measure ribbon unless I'm mass producing a card, and then I have to cut multiple lengths of ribbon. So yeah, try and make them both the same length. It'll just make it easier on you when you go to tie off the bow. So this really isn't any different, just a little more ribbon to hang on to. So we're going to go ahead and make 1 loop and 2 loops. Well, let me get my ribbons straight. 3 loops and 4 loops. And we could keep going, but that's a pretty good size for a card. Then again, I'm going to make that loop, and I'm using both pieces of ribbon, so you can see that big circle here that I'm making. I'm kind of trying to twist it here so you can see it. And then I'm going to take my ends, which I've got a really long piece of ribbon here. Hang on and see, look, I didn't cut my ribbon completely even. Let me go ahead and pop that through the middle. Okay, there we go. It's actually harder popping it through the middle with the bigger circle, so sorry about that. Then let me go ahead and keep pulling. And the other reason I love making multicolor bows with this ribbon, it's really strong, so you can really tug on it. And there's your little bow. Really cute. I did want to mention before I forget, there are some bows that are a little harder to make ribbon with, like the real satiny bows. I also have used, let me grab it really quick. I've used, the Flirty Flamingo, this gold ribbon. This is kind of a mess here, but it really, really shreds. I kind of like that look, but you know, you might want to think about if you don't like that shabby chic kind of distress look, this may not be the ribbon for you. So you can kind of experiment. But let me just reach over here. Sorry to reach in front of the camera. But if you use a real satiny ribbon, this is one of our red satin ribbons, which is gorgeous. The ribbon gets a little too slippery when making bows, so that one I don't use for my bows. But you guys can play around with it and see what works for you. So I'm trying to think what I'm going to do next. I've got 2 more things to show you here. Okay, let's start with this one. So I'm going to show you a card with a finished bow. This is one I think I just posted it yesterday. I've actually got 4 different ribbons on here, including the linen thread. So let me show you how I did that. So what I did here, I don't know if you can see, I added some linen thread right through here. It's actually tucked underneath. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now, and let me just cut a little bit more of linen thread. My dog was in here earlier and stood up on the table, and I think he took off with my linen thread because I don't see it. Oh my goodness. All right, we're just going to improvise here. Okay. So what I did on this card is I tied my bow with the 3 ribbons, and then I went around it with the linen thread. So let me get that started here. So I've got the pale papaya white and cotton ribbon. And then the fresh freesia open weave ribbon that I used on the other bow. And then I have the very vanilla lace ribbon. I know this is a lot of ribbon. So we're going to do the same thing. It may be a little harder to see because I'm holding 3 different ribbons here. Oh, and let me get to the part about deciding how big you want your bow to be. So I kind of knew on this card, I was going to place it up here in the corner. So before I ever cut the ribbon, I kind of took my ribbon here. Let me get the fresh roll of ribbon. And I just kind of played around and said, well, I kind of want the loops about this big. Okay, I'm going to need a couple more. And then I just took my ribbon out and measured it, how long I needed it. So that's what I did. I didn't cut the ribbon ahead of time. And I like to cut, I probably waste way too much ribbon, but I like to have extra ribbon and not have to worry about it at the end that I'm going to run out. So some of you are probably going, oh, she only needs half that much of her ribbon. All right, so we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to go make 1 loop and 2 loops and 3 loops and 4 loops. And then we're going to do, let's see, let me trim off my ribbon here again. There we go. We're going to make that circle in the center so you can see that. And we are going to pop all 3 of those ends in there. So that's a little tricky. And we're just going to pull, pull, pull. Sometimes you got to kind of pull them individually. I see one that's kind of loose here. Okay. And there is my bow. And that may be way too much for some of you. I know a lot of you, I've had lots of questions on how do you mail these cards. I don't mail them. This would be for a card that I was maybe going to pop in a gift bag or just hand carry to somebody. I might even put it, I might possibly put it in a padded envelope, you know, to mail it or that kind of thing. If I'm going to mail a card, you guys know when you're mailing all of our Stampin' Up! Cards with all our fun embellishments and all that, you kind of have to be careful. You have to have it hand stamped and that type of thing. So this bow obviously is certainly going to get crushed. But these are all also fun, like I said, to put on little gift boxes and gift bags and all that good stuff. And so that little bow went right up here in the corner. And what I did, oh my gosh, I still cannot find my linen thread. Oh boy. And I usually have linen thread everywhere. Just 1 second, guys. Okay. I found some. Let me go ahead and cut a piece here. Okay. All right. So what I did with this card I wanted to show you is this kind of secures the bow a little better. I'm going to take some tear and tape adhesive, and I didn't fully glue this card down. So what I did on my original card, you guys can kind of see here on the back, I put some tear and tape adhesive And I'm not going to waste time pulling it off because sometimes you guys know that takes a second. So I won't bore you with that. Then I'm going to get another piece of tear and tape adhesive. And let me trim off this linen thread. Okay. And then I'm just kind of put it loosely behind. Okay, so you can kind of see I've got my little linen thread here. And here is the original card. You can kind of see it tucked right here. And what I did, oh my goodness, see? This is what I do. I lose my little pieces. Then I have to start over. Okay, hang on just a minute. So what I did, I have my little flag here. Forgot all about that. And I punched holes in the corners. So I'm going to thread it right through there. Then I'm going to go ahead. I already put on my Stampin' Dimensionals. That's another thing that I just like. I use way too many of those. I have all those little dots that I peeled off everywhere. They're always stuck to my dog's fur. So they're all over the house. It doesn't matter how much I vacuum. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stick down that flag. Now I'm going to go ahead and tape this other end down. I'm so sorry, you guys. You can really tell this is my first Facebook Live because I just start, you know, saying funny things and just babbling. So trying to do the best I can now. All right, so there we go. I've got my linen thread there. I'm going to take a few mini glue dots. This is how I glued down most of my bows. I'm going to add a few mini glue dots right about where I'm going to tie that bow on. Let me get a little more, a couple more. I use a lot of these too. Dimensionals and glue dots are my best friend. Okay. Now I'm going to take my piece of linen thread that I was finally able to cut. I'm going to slip it underneath this other little strip of linen thread. And I'm going to press it down right where I put those glue dots. And I've got about an even amount here on each side. Then I'm going to take my bow, my big bow here, place that down where those glue dots are. And then just to kind of secure it, I'm going to tie another bow around here with my linen thread. And this is just a basic bow, just tie in your shoes kind of bow. So this is nothing fancy. I'm going to tie that around there. Look at, I can't even tie a regular bow. I'm so used to the other bows. All right, let me give it another try. And my hands are really dry right now. It's cold here today and I can't seem to put on enough hand lotion. All right, so you guys can kind of see that there, that little bow tied around. And that's the same thing I did on this card. And then of course, you know, you'd embellish it, put your sentiments and all that good stuff. So that is that one. I have one more for you. So I have a little gift tag here. And on this one, I used the Whisper White Crinkled Seam Binding Ribbon. I had to think of that. That's a really long name. That ribbon is a little harder to cut. You kind of have to have some patience there with it. And again, this may not be your thing to cut it in half. it takes a bit. But I do love the effect, so I actually use it a lot. So first I wanted to just, this isn't part of the bow making, but I'm going to create a little hanger. So I have some Whisper White crinkled seam binding ribbon that I cut in half, and let me see if I can get it through the hole. Oh goodness, here we go. I actually turned down some of my lighting that I normally have in my room just so it wouldn't be so bright and obnoxious, and I can tell that I definitely don't have my normal lighting here. All right, so I'm just going to create my little hanger. Let me get those ends together. Okay, so I've got my little hanger, whether you do it with ribbon or you might use twine or whatever suits your fancy. I'm going to go ahead and get a second piece through here. Let me see if I can do that in a little bit less time than it took me the first time. So I'm putting a second piece of ribbon through here. Let's see. Got it. Yay. All right. Okay, so that's just going to sit here by itself, and you can see it's a pretty long piece of ribbon. I think these I did measure, and they are about 30 inches long. So now what I did, so I'm just kind of prepping there for tying the bow on. So now what I did, I had another piece of Whisper White crinkled seam binding ribbon. I colored it with balmy blue, dark balmy blue. So I know you guys know you can do that, which is super fun. And you can kind of see this ribbon, you know, it gets kind of distressed and frayed. And this one really, the more you handle it, the more distressed it gets. So if you're working with it, you want to kind of try and make your bow pretty quickly instead of going back and forth and over again, because sometimes it does get too frayed. So just be kind of careful there. All right, so this one, we're actually going to make a pretty big bow. Let me get my ends together. I just love the effect for this, especially like for little gift tags hanging off a bag or a gift box. Okay, so I've got my 2 pieces of ribbon cut in half. We're going to make a lot of loops here. I think I'm just going to keep going till I run out of ribbon. All right, 1 loop. Let's see how many we get. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I might be able to do a couple more. 7 and 8. So I've got a big bundle there. I'm going to do that circle around the middle. And let me get those ends through there. Here's one. This other one is being a little stubborn. All right, did I get them? I did. Okay, I'm going to pull on this. And this ribbon too, when you're pulling, and you'll notice if you really start making bows and cutting the ribbon in half, some of them, again, will fray easier. So be a little gentle when you're pulling. You can pull pretty hard, but, you know, just don't give it a big tug all at once. But I just love this look. So fluffy and pretty. So let me set that down. And let me get some more mini glue dots. I always panic when I start getting low on mini glue dots or dimensionals. So again, just, you know, 2 or 3 of these. Then here's my little hanger right here off to the side. But I'm going to kind of tie this bow on the way I did on the card. So here's my other piece of Whisper White crinkled seam binding ribbon. I'm gonna lay my bow right down here. And I could have done this in blue too. I just thought it would be fun to, you know, have the contrast of the white and blue, but I could have colored it with the balmy blue Stampin' Blends. And then on this one, I'm just going to tie a bow around it, kind of like I did on the card with the linen thread. Oh, and I also wanted to tell you guys before I forget, I meant to say this at the beginning. I am seeing you guys comment, which is so exciting, but I haven't been reading the comments because I'm trying to stay focused on getting my bows made. So I will definitely respond to all the comments when I'm done. And then when I do, see, let me stop talking because I'm not going to be able to make this bow. I will respond to all the comments when I'm done today. And then if somebody had a question as far as like making the bow again or something like that, I can do that on my next Facebook Live next Tuesday when I do some other projects with ribbon. So yeah, I'm certainly willing to make the bow again if I need to. And let me go ahead, and I've got a really long end here. Trim that off. And so here we've got this cute little fluffy bow. I probably could have even made it bigger than that, but you guys can kind of see it's really fluffy. So that is it for, I see a question from Tracy. I don't always do that. I do on the tags. I try to secure this with a second little bow, but I have a lot of cards where I just tuck the bow underneath the sentiment and pop the sentiment on top of it. I'll do that, or kind of tuck it off to the side. In fact, when I do my next video, I'll show you a couple cards like that. So I don't always do that. Just in this case, I do. I did. So let me see if I see any more questions. Thank you, Tracy. All right, I don't think I have any more questions here, but that I can see at the moment, but I definitely will go back and answer them all. And I want to thank you guys. Oh, where's the sentiment from the tag? That one actually is, I just realized when I looked at this earlier this morning, that little sentiment is from, oh gosh, now I can't remember the name of it. It was a little sentiment set that came with Celebration. It had all kinds of fun little sentiments on it. So it was in that set, but I can't remember the name of it. Sorry about that. Thank you so much, Joanne. So glad you guys could all be here. So I won't keep you any longer. Thank you so much for putting up with me. Thank you for being my guinea pigs. Because you can all see I need some more help, but I really appreciate it. I hope you guys are able to stick with me, and I promise I will. Special moments. There we go. Thank you, Stacy. I promise I will get better and better at this. And stay tuned for my Facebook Live next Tuesday at 11. And we're going to do a little more with ribbon. Again, I'll check and see if anyone wants me to do the bow again. And also, I will be posting this video on my Facebook page afterwards. So if you want to rewatch it or didn't get to watch it again, I did want to mention too, I did do a bow making video for Stampin' Up! When I was on the artisan design team last year. And it was either at the very beginning of June or the very end of June. If you scroll through the Stampin' Up! Instagram or Facebook pages, look at the beginning of June or the end of June 2021, and you'll find that video there. So that's one you can watch again as well. All right, you guys, I hope you have a great rest of the day. Thank you so much for joining me, and you have a great rest of your week. Take care. Bye-bye.